years ago, we started this podcast for a couple of different reasons. Obviously, to give our picks for games, complain about our Minnesota Vikings and our Oakland Raiders, or now Las Vegas Raiders. It was the Oakland Raiders at the time, but now it's just kind of is what it is. And now today, we're gonna do one of that and complain about one of our teams in the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I'll be honest, I'm one of the hardest fans on my team in the Vikings. I feel like, you keep the expectations down here so, you can't just get disappointed. All the cliche milquetoast statements. But after days, like the last couple of days, you got to start asking some questions, especially after some of the stunning moves made by the Minnesota Vikings and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and staff. Like, I get it. It's just a little shocking. I don't know what to make of it. And at the end of the day, it's just, speechless. Just crickets. Don't even know what to say. So we'll go kind of back over what happened over the last couple of days. So Will Ray gets here. So the Vikings, they waived Armand Watts, traded for Ross Blacklock, the former second-round pick out of TCU a couple of years ago, by the way. Was a standout there. Didn't quite get it going with the Texans. Had a couple of sacks. It wasn't great. About a 50.0 PFF grade last year. Not amazing, but it is what it is. Okay, Armand Watts. Yes, we're talking about the guy that had 5 sacks last year that was already looking like he was going to be a standout defensive 5-tech defensive end for the Vikings. Don't love that one. No, maybe you can get a little something out of Ross Blacklock, but come on. I know you saved $1.2 million in cap here, but I don't like that. And then he gets picked up by the Bears. That's great. Yes, and I was going to completely terrorize the Minnesota Vikings offensive line. That's just fantastic. Oh, and then by the way, yes, they traded Jesse Davis. Actually, I don't really have a problem with that one. They saved $1.5 million. Ed Ingram's going to do his thing at right guard there. Right guard, excuse me. I'm not that worried about it. Yes, they waived Mond, who went to the Browns, as well as Mannion, who got waived. I believe they added him to the practice squad. Will be coming out with the practice squad for the Vikings tomorrow. Then the Vikings also kept 5 running backs, 5 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, and 10 offensive linemen. Yeah, the rest of it you're not really worried about. So again, the biggest thing you're taking away from there is, yes, they let go of Armand Watts. Don't like it. I know Ross Blacklock could turn into something special, great and everything in terms of cap saving stuff, but I don't love it. Then today, a little bit of good news. The Vikings, here we go. Adam Schefter, trade. Eagles are sending wide receiver Jalen Reagor to the Minnesota Vikings in exchange for a 2023 7th-round pick and a 2024 conditional 4th-round pick that would de-escalate to a 5th-round pick if certain statistical marks are not met, sources tell ESPN. Hey, I like Jalen Reagor. I think he can be something special. He's a great punt returner, and Ihmir Smith-Marsette, who we'll get into in just a second. He was kind of struggling as the punt returner. Like, he had a good return against the Broncos. Great, it is what it is. But Ihmir Smith-Marsette was emerging as that number 4 wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. But we caught you sleeping, didn't we? Yes, because then Will Raggets go. Another surprise, the Vikings are waiving wide receiver Ihmir Smith-Marsette after trading for Jalen Reagor per Tom Pelissero. I've seen some things. And again, we started this podcast to be able to complain about our Vikings, also give them the praise that they're due, and try to shed an accurate light and tell both sides of the story. But after this, I don't even know what to say. I mean, Ihmir Smith-Marsette was emerging on the depth chart. Last year, he caught 5 passes for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. I know the vast majority of that was against both games against the Bears. I get it. Again, he was really coming into his own, and you might ask yourself, okay, why are you complaining about this much, Colton? Because Jalen Reagor has, to this point, not lived up to a first-round pick status that he was with the Philadelphia Eagles a couple years ago, the pick before. And we all know about it, the viral video that was shared by the Vikings for the Eagles picking Jalen Reagor and all that. But I would much rather have Ihmir Smith-Marsette at this point in his career, who's learning how to be a punt returner. Yes, is there going to be some growing pains? Yes. Has he put the ball in the turf? Yes. You don't like to see that. But at this point, specifically with the cap hits, now Jalen Reagor, I believe, with the Vikings this year is set to make about, or at least have a cap hit of about $1.8 million. And it counts. And if the Vikings wanted to cut him, it would be about $4.2 million against the cap. Okay, but Ihmir Smith-Marsette only was going to make about $1.01 million with a base salary of $940,000. Dead cap, base salary was $825,000 this year. Dead cap was about $239,000. So $900,000 that he was going to count against the cap for the Vikings. So we're talking about double the price of Ihmir Smith-Marsette. You also got to consider the fact that how this is all going to stack up in terms of picking up the 5th-year option and all that. So are we getting that much in return for Jalen Reagor? Are we really getting that much? I would argue Probably not. I mean, again, I know that Jalen Reagor has been a guy that stood out in punt returns, and I'm all for that. Yes, the Vikings needed a good punt returner. Last year, he also caught 33 passes for 299 yards for the Eagles, in his career almost has 700 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. And again, in returning punts, I think he's fantastic. 4 punt returns his rookie year, also took that one to the house for that touchdown as well, for that 73-yard touchdown. Had 31 returns last year for 227 yards, no touchdowns. Did out of a 7.3 yards per return average. Hey, not bad. I love it. But again, I do think it comes back to the fact that if you want to be cheap, you made all these other moves to clear up cap space, and you go this route, I mean, I just, all I got to say is I like Demir Smith-Marsette a lot more than I did Jalen Reagor at this point, but who knows? Maybe Jalen Reagor can absolutely come up from the dead, be that reliable number 4 wide receiver for the Vikings, and be a stud punt returner that he has been in the past. I get it, but man, I got to tell you, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, I'm a little on the ropes, but then again, also, again, we also don't, we're not in those meeting rooms, but I will say this is coming as a little bit of a shock. You've seen 2 players that were going to be good players for the Vikings this year that have already been waived by the Vikings, and it's kind of a little bit shocking. So, I got to be honest, like I said, it's one of those things you just kind of look at, see how it's going to go moving forward, but in terms of reviewing these stunning moves made by the Vikings, I've got my questions. But let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are all truthfully awesome. We love every single one of you. Down in the description below, you'll find all of our social media platforms. So give us a like and a follow there. Also, remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put it in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think in the review of the stunning moves made by the Minnesota Vikings.